Get ready to dive into the most controversial, daring, and epic saga in the Dragon Ball universe. After facing galactic tyrants, indestructible androids, and divine creatures, Goku thought his journey had come to an end, but destiny had other plans. Transformed into a child by an unexpected wish, he is launched into a new mission that will cross space, time, and the limits of power itself. Dragon Ball GT isn't just a sequel, it's a major milestone for the Dragon Ball universe. With new threats emerging from the shadows, the search for the Black Star Dragon Balls turns into a desperate race for the survival of the universe. Brand new villains, emotional twists, and a Goku who reaches the pinnacle of primality with the legendary Super Saiyan 4. This isn't a simple summary. It's a deep, detailed, and complete dive into Dragon Ball GT, a tribute and an analysis all at once. This summary is the most complete one you'll find. It took a load of work, but the result turned out sensational. I hope you like it. If you can give it a like and leave a comment, it helps a lot to reward my work. It took days of focus to bring the most complete version possible. If you like it, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. Here we are focused on anime recaps. 5 years have passed since Goku left everything behind and set off with Ubi, his disciple, right after the World Martial Arts Tournament. The two dedicated this time to intense training at Dende's lookout. But now that journey is coming to an end. Ubi concludes his training and sets off to find his own path. Goku, for his part, was also preparing to leave, until something unusual happened. 3 familiar and aged figures appear at the lookout: Pilaf, Shu, and Mai. They are searching for the legendary Dragon Balls, but they end up finding a different set orbs, with black stars inside them, exuding a distinct and threatening energy. Curious and driven by ambition, the 3 decide to summon the dragon. It is then that the sky rips open with the appearance of a different Shenron, known as the Black Star Shenron or Ultimate Shenron. Goku, intrigued, goes to the spot where the dragon was summoned and runs into Pilaf and his companion. Desperate upon seeing the Saiyan there, Pilaf orders an attack, but Goku dodges with ease. In a moment of frustration, Pilaf blurts out a thoughtless comment: "Oh, if only you were still a child, it would be much easier to deal with you." To everyone's surprise, Shenron interprets that as a wish and grants it. Goku is transformed back into a child. Soon after, King Kai makes contact and explains that this is no ordinary dragon. It belongs to the Black Star Dragon Balls, created long ago with extreme power and dangerous consequences. The only way to reverse the wish is to gather all 7 balls scattered across the entire universe. And there is a catch. If the balls are not recovered and returned to their planet of origin within 1 year, the Earth will be destroyed. Goku, however, doesn't seem shaken. Still in his child form, he heads back home. On the way, he reunites with his granddaughter, Pan, who doesn't recognize him immediately. Only after confirmation from the little robot Jiru, who analyzes Goku's energy, does Pan understand that the boy is indeed her grandfather. When he returns home, Goku explains the situation to everyone. What seemed like just another one of Pilaf's antics quickly turns into a race against time to save the planet. Bulma then builds a specially equipped spaceship so that Goku, Trunks, and Goten can set off in search of the Black Star Dragon Balls. But on the day of departure, an unexpected event occurs. Goten ends up missing the takeoff because he is distracted with his girlfriend. Meanwhile, Pan, hidden on the ship, ends up joining the mission along with Goku and Trunks, forming an unlikely trio. Right on the first trip, the adventure already gets complicated. A technical problem caused by a loose part forces the ship to make a crash landing on planet Ameka, a barren, almost desert-like place ruled by a tyrant named Don Ki. The trio discovers that the planet's population lives in misery due to the extremely high taxes imposed by the government, which confiscates the assets of those who cannot pay. While trying to adapt, they stay at a hotel where every item in the room is charged separately at abusive prices. Forced to flee, they meet a local family who shares their sad reality. At that moment, Don Key's robots appear and confiscate the family's house right before their eyes. The next day, upon returning to the ship to continue the mission, Trunks ends up dropping the Dragon radar, which ends up near a small, scrapped robot. The robot swallows the device and assimilates its technology, forcing the group to take it along. It ends up being named Jiru. But the problems don't stop there. Don Key's army confiscates their ship, preventing the mission from continuing. Goku tries to use the instant transmission to reach it, but his technique fails. His energy, still unstable in child form, doesn't allow him to execute the move correctly. Now, even before starting the search for the Dragon Balls, Goku, Trunks, Pan, and the newcomer Jiru need to deal with the first obstacle: recovering the ship and escaping the planet. After the wish that turned him into a child, Goku began to deal with some limitations in his abilities, which brought new challenges to the mission. Determined to recover their ship, he, Trunks, and Pan decide to act during the night. They stealthily break into the location where the ship was being held, but they are soon discovered. Despite the confusion, they easily overcome Donkey's army, and Pan takes advantage of the distraction to regain control of the ship. The next day, back in the desert, Trunks performs the necessary repairs on the ship. With everything ready, the three head to the city in search of supplies for the next stage of the journey. But upon arriving, they notice something strange. The residents flee at the sight of them. They soon discover the reason they are now considered wanted criminals by the local government. During the escape, they end up hiding in a house where they meet a resident couple who clarifies the situation. Don Key, the tyrant who rules the planet, has banned the possession of any spaceship, keeping the inhabitants trapped in his domain. With the help of his powerful bodyguard, Legic, no one dares to challenge him. With this, the group decides to face the problem head-on. To get close to Don Chi, they allow themselves to be captured voluntarily by the police. The plan works. They are taken directly to the tyrant's castle. As soon as they arrive, they defeat the guards with ease and storm the ruler's chamber. However, they fall into a trap and are surprised by Legic, who reveals himself to be the true obstacle. Trunks tries to face him first, but is quickly defeated. Goku takes over the fight, while Trunks steps away to protect Pan. The battle between Goku and Legic starts off balanced, but the villain cannot cause major damage to the small Saiyan. Noticing his opponent's potential, Legic demands that Goku fight with all his strength. Accepting the challenge, Goku activates his Super Saiyan transformation, easily overpowering the enemy, even with his powers reduced by being in child form. The confrontation ends with Goku defeating Legic with a powerful Kamehameha. Surprisingly, after being beaten, Legic shows respect and even satisfaction for having faced an opponent of his caliber. With the battle over, Don Key is forced to return all confiscated ships and suspend the abusive charges that kept the people oppressed. Before leaving the planet, the group makes an important discovery. Jiru, the robot accompanying them, is capable of activating the dragon radar he previously absorbed. This means that as long as Jiru is with them, they will be able to track the Black Star Dragon Balls. With the problems resolved, the trio sets off again on their journey. Their next destination is planet Malmasu, a world where everything is giant trees, fruits, insects, and even the residents. In the midst of exploration, they find the next Dragon Ball stuck inside a fruit. However, a giant bird ends up taking the fruit to a colossus that inhabits the planet. After helping Pan escape a situation involving giant bees, Goku and Trunks decide to go after the giant. When they find him, they realize the ball is stuck in one of his teeth. Goku, without hesitation, enters the creature's mouth and uses the Kamehameha to blast the tooth out, thus securing the first ball of the mission. The next planet visited is Gelbo, where the travelers find a village in danger. There they meet a young woman named Lina, who is using one of the balls as an ornament. The village residents reveal they are being terrorized by a monster named Zunama, who threatens to cause earthquakes if they don't give him a bride. Given the situation, Goku and the others propose a solution. In exchange for the ball, they will stop Zunama. The plan involves disguising Trunks as a woman so he can be delivered to the monster. Meanwhile, Pan and Goku will follow him to the hideout. The strategy works. Zunama takes Trunks to a volcano, not noticing the disguise. After some confusion, Pan ends up discovering the truth. Zunama is not responsible for the earthquake. He can simply predict when they are going to happen, and uses that to frighten the inhabitant. With his charade exposed, Zunama admits his lie and apologizes to the village residents. However, the situation gets complicated when the nearby volcano erupts, forcing everyone to evacuate the area immediately. Goku acts fast and manages to contain the threat. With everything resolved, Zunama decides to change his life and begins living peacefully among the village inhabitants. In gratitude, the heroes receive another Black Star Dragon Ball. But the peace doesn't last long. Shortly after, a disguised digital entity suddenly appears, steals the newly acquired ball, and escapes toward another planet. With no time to lose, Goku, Trunks, and Pan set off in pursuit until they reach planet Lud, a wild world inhabited by hostile creatures known as Muma. The group that stole the ball identifies themselves as the Parapara brothers, henchmen at the service of a cult dedicated to resurrecting a dormant entity called Lud, a powerful machine mutant worshipped as if it were a deity. The cult believes that through the sacrifice of victims turned into dolls, they can gather the life energy necessary to wake Lud from his slumber. After delivering the Dragon Ball to Cardinal Machi Machi, The Para brothers are reprimanded for failing to recover all the orbs in the possession of Goku's group. Determined to fix their mistake, they immediately return to planet Bihi to face them once again. Meanwhile, Goku, Pan, and Trunks are still trapped in the planet's underground labyrinth, trying to find a way out. During the search, they are attacked by the Muma, large, resilient creatures that are barely affected by the trio's direct attacks. Noticing the enemy's slowness, the heroes devise a new strategy. They tie up the Muma and hurl them against the labyrinth walls, clearing a path to escape. At that moment, the Para brothers reappear to try and take the Dragon Balls by force. Using their musical hypnosis technique, they make Goku, Trunks, and Pan dance uncontrollably, intending to exhaust them until they faint. However, the music also ends up waking the dormant Muma, which attack the villains. With the hypnosis broken, the heroes free themselves and take the opportunity to easily defeat the Para brothers. While searching the villain's ship for the stolen Dragon Ball, Pan accidentally activates the autopilot, which was programmed to return to the brothers' last destination, Planet Lud. She and Jiru blast off alone toward the new location. After interrogating the captured villains, Goku and Trunks obtain the ship's flight path and immediately set off after her using the Capsule Corporation ship. Once on Lud, Pan uses the Dragon Radar to locate another nearby orb, which leads her to a temple where a cult ritual is taking place. However, she is discovered by the guards and ends up engaged in combat. Shortly after, Goku, Trunks, and Jiru also arrive on the planet. Jiru quickly alerts them that Pan is in danger. While she fights the soldiers, she manages to recover the stolen orb. But before she can escape, Pan is struck by Lud's power and transformed into a doll. Moments before Pan is to be sacrificed, Goku and Trunks finally reach the scene. The Para brothers, brought in as prisoners, are also present, but having failed the cult again, they are transformed into dolls and used as offering. Amidst the chaos, the Cardinal summons his pet to stop Goku, but it is easily defeated. Since the pet is a robot, it explodes after the fight, taking the Cardinal with it. However, the real danger is yet to come. Daltaki, the leader of the cult, finds the Pan doll and takes it to his hideout, where he keeps a collection of dolls made from sacrificed victims. Meanwhile, Goku and Trunks face a new opponent, a mysterious whip used by the Cardinal, which takes shape and reveals its true identity as Machi, one of Lud's true servants. Thus begins a new and dangerous battle. During the confrontation, Muchi uses his whips to strike the ground, launching rocks at Goku and Trunks. Trunks ends up pinned by several boulders, leaving Goku alone in the fight. At first, the combat is difficult, as Muchi can control everything his whip touches, making him a formidable enemy. However, Goku decides to step it up and transforms into a Super Saiyan. Meanwhile, in the main hall, Daltaki, the cult leader, observes the situation. He decides the time has come to finalize his plan, and, with the help of his followers, begins gathering everyone in the central hall. Back at the fight, even in his Super Saiyan form, Goku finds himself at a disadvantage. Muchi's whip manages to momentarily immobilize him. However, Trunks finally frees himself from the rocks and, with a well-aimed attack, saves Goku, ending the fight against the enemy. In the main hall, Daltaki reveals his dark plan to his followers. Instead of just using the sacrifices to awaken Lud, he transforms everyone present into dolls and absorbs their energy. However, this is still not enough to resurrect Lud, so the villain decides to use the energy of Goku and Trunks to complete the ritual. The Saiyans return to the now empty hall, and Goku finds the orb they had lost. They prepare to rescue Pan, but before they can act, Daltaki appears holding the Pan doll. He decides it is time to awaken Lud immediately to defeat the warriors. The statue of Lud shatters, revealing the giant's form. Upon seeing him, Goku and Trunks quickly realize they are dealing with an enemy much more powerful than they imagined. Daltaki takes the opportunity to flee with Pan, while Goku is tasked with facing Lud, and Trunks goes after Daltaki. Lud proves to be incredibly fast, and Goku's attacks do not have the expected impact. The battle becomes difficult, as Lud manages to block all of the Saiyans' movements, preventing them from escaping. Meanwhile, Daltaki amuses himself with the Pan doll until he is interrupted by a mysterious voice. In a secret room, Dr. Mayu, the creator of Lud, reveals that he is behind the entire operation and is also seeking the Black Star Dragon Balls to conquer the galaxy. Mayu explains that he awakened Lud earlier than planned to deal with the warriors who were stealing the balls, but he didn't expect Goku's Super Saiyan power to be so strong. He believed Lud's level 2 would be enough, but Goku's transformation changed everything. Over time, Goku and Trunks manage to adapt to Lude's movements and begin attacking him with more precision. The villain begins to miss his strikes and loses control, becoming increasingly vulnerable. Realizing that Lude is losing the battle, Dr. Mew orders Daltaki to use the Pan Doll to energize Lude and thus reach his maximum power. However, Daltaki refuses to hand over the doll, and as punishment, Dr. Mew transforms the cult leader himself into a doll. In this way, Pan and Daltaki both end up being used to fuel the Lude machine. When Lude absorbs both, he reaches level 3, a form of immense and unbeatable power. Inside Lude, everyone who was absorbed awakens in a trance-like state, including Pan and Daltaki. Joining forces, the Parapara brothers manage to use their dance to force Daltaki to reveal Lude's weak point, his central core. If this core is destroyed, the machine's entire structure will short-circuit, freeing all the prisoners inside. However, for this to happen, the core must be attacked simultaneously from the inside and the outside. Using their ability to use telepathy through music, the Parapara brothers communicate with Goku, warning him about Lude's weak point. Pan, from inside Lude, also guides Goku to the exact spot where the attack must be made. Now knowing how to proceed, Goku, with the help of the brothers, prepares the final blow. At the crucial moment, Goku and Pan attack Lude's central core at the same time, destroying the machine and freeing all the prisoners. With Lude's fall, the battle comes to an end, and Goku recovers the stolen orb, allowing the group to continue their journey through the universe, victorious once again. As the group travels to the next planet, Trunks suggests that it might be more prudent to return to Earth and swap Pan for Goten. The suggestion arises due to recent discoveries about Dr. Mew and the concern that Goten, with his experience, would be a safer reinforcement for the mission. Pan, being so young, might not be the best option at this time. However, the proposal leaves Pan disappointed, as she never accepts being left behind and always wants to prove her worth. Arriving at a desert planet called Rudeus, previously known as Houdini, the group faces two goals: searching for the next Dragon Ball and resolving the issue with Pan. Simultaneously, on another planet called M2, Daltaki, who had escaped planet Lude, arrives to report his mission's failure to Dr. Mayu. However, it is not the scientist waiting for him, but General Rildo, who, infuriated by Daltaki's failure to recover the balls, decides to eliminate him. After Daltaki's death, Dr. Mayu contacts Rildiar, ordering him to capture Goku and the others. In addition to them having one of the balls, the power of the Z-Warriors could be useful for a new experiment the scientist is developing. Meanwhile, in the Rudeus desert, the Z-Warriors face a series of problems. After a crisis with a lack of water, an attack by a giant sandworm, and an emotional breakdown from Pan, who feels she isn't helping, the group finally finds another Dragon Ball. Trunks then decides that Pan can stay with him, even if she has shown herself to be less experienced. During the trip to the next planet, the group passes by M2, Jiru's home planet. The robot suggests a stop there before continuing their search. Trunks hesitates, thinking there is no time for it, but they eventually decide to follow Jiru's plan. Arriving at M2, the scene is desolate. The city is covered in vegetation, appearing abandoned. However, several robots soon emerge, all looking like Giru, but with different colors. They congratulate Giru for something he pretends not to understand. However, it is soon revealed that Giru is actually working for General Rildo and was sent on a mission to recover the Black Star Dragon Balls. The Sigma Force, led by Rildo, ambushes the Zed Warriors, revealing that Jiru is on their side. Pan, in shock, does not believe the enemy's words and tries to save the robot. Goku and Trunks rush to defend her but end up being captured. Pan, alone, continues the fight, but Jiru intervenes, saying there is no need for more combat, as Pan will not be able to escape the planet. Subsequently, the prisoners and the balls are taken to General Rildo. The Sigma Force leaves, leaving Pan behind. With Goku and Trunks captured, Pan decides to infiltrate the machine mutant base, disguised as a robot, to try and find her grandfathers. She enters a room where Jiru is being decorated for fulfilling his mission and overhears the robots talking about Dr. Mew, the same scientist she had heard about on planet Lude. Pan quickly deduces that this is Dr. Mayu's planet. Meanwhile, Goku and Trunks are subjected to a series of tests to determine their power levels. When one of the robots delivers the results to General Rildo, he is surprised by Goku's power. Rildo then decides to kill them, but Dr. Mayu had given orders for the Saiyans to be captured alive. Jiru suggests that, using the data collected from previous battles, the Sigma Force can study the Zed Warriors' fighting style and learn to exploit their weaknesses, making them easier to defeat in the future. Meanwhile, Pan continues her infiltration of the base, still disguised, and ends up entering an area where obsolete robots have been discarded. One of these robots spontaneously reveals that Dr. Miu was responsible for the creation of the machine mutants, and that he plans to use these creations to rule the universe. The robot, without being questioned, reveals all the details of Miu's plan. While exploring the base's corridors, Pan encounters one of the Sigma Force members, who possesses combat data on her and therefore gains an advantage in the fight. Discovering that all of this was caused by Jiru, Pan becomes furious and uses her new technique, Maiden's Rage. The robot, unable to comprehend the power of the technique, ends up being destroyed. She makes her way to the laboratory where Goku and Trunks are, arriving just as Goku has woken up. Seeing Pan being attacked, he becomes enraged and, with a surge of power, destroys much of the laboratory, freeing Trunks in the process. Goku decides he will face the Sigma Force alone. While Trunks takes Pan back to the ship, the battle begins, and the robots soon prove to be superior. With the combat data they possess, they are able to anticipate Goku's movements, causing the Saiyan to struggle. Desperate, Goku begins firing random ki blasts, hoping to hit something. To his surprise, his strategy works and he manages to hit the enemies. In response, the robots fuse together, creating the dreaded Super Mega Sigma Cannon, or Hyper Mega Reldo Cannon Sigma. Even with some attacks hitting Goku, he is knocked back by the fusion, which surprisingly does not prove to be as strong as it seemed, as Goku easily outpaces the cannon's speed. To compensate for this disadvantage, the fusion takes on an aerial mode, which prevents Goku from escaping. However, the Saiyan has not yet revealed his Super Saiyan transformation. The Sigma Cannon, in its next form, displays a drill coming out of its head, but Goku quickly realizes that the true threat is not there. He merely tests the enemy's power limit, and with that decides to end the combat with a classic Kamehameha. Meanwhile, in the laboratory, General Rildo, who was watching the battle, becomes furious at the Sigma Force's defeat, and decides to intervene personally. Goku, for his part, returns to the ship where Trunks and Pan are waiting for him. Pan, distressed, informs him that the Dragon Balls have been stolen, but the matter must be pushed aside when Rildo appears. Surprisingly, Pan attacks General Rildo, but her blows cause no damage. The villain then counterattacks with an energy beam. Trunks, to protect Pan, jumps in front and is hit, being transformed into a metal plate that quickly disappears. Rildo reveals that Trunks has been sent to the laboratory, where he will be transported to Dr. Miu. Pan, determined to rescue Trunks, flies to the laboratory, while Goku stays behind to face Rildo. The villain once again uses his ability to turn everything into metal to attack Goku. During the combat, the Z-Warrior's ship ends up being hit, and the fight between Goku and Rildo turns into a hand-to-hand confrontation. Both exchange blows, but Goku still does not use his Super Saiyan transformation. In the laboratory, Pan breaks in, activating all the alarms. Thanks to her strength, she manages to defeat the weak robots around her, but upon reaching the area where Trunks is held, she cannot stop him from being transported to Dr. Miu. During her journey through the laboratory, Pan finds Giru but is expelled by the security system, which removes anything that is not a machine mutant. Back in the fight, Goku finally hits Rildo directly with a Kamehameha, causing significant damage. Recognizing the danger Goku poses, the villain once again summons the Sigma Force to try to capture him. Goku finally transforms into a Super Saiyan, which turns the tide of the battle, and he manages to defeat the Sigma Force once and for all. However, General Rildo reveals his true power. He absorbs the remains of the Sigma Force and takes on a new, more powerful form. The fight becomes balanced again, with Rildo's ability to turn everything into metal becoming even more intense. Even so, Goku does not feel a great difference compared to his enemy's previous form. The advantage soon begins to tilt in Goku's favor, as his attacks seriously damage Rildo's armor. Then, the villain fuses with the planet, transforming into an ultimate metallic form, completely controlling planet M2, which is now practically made entirely of metal. Rildo can move freely through the metal and manipulate the structures around him, creating a hostile environment for Goku. Meanwhile, Pan tries unsuccessfully to break into Dr. Miu's laboratory. Every time she manages to get close, she is expelled from the site. However, she receives help from Giru, the robot she had saved earlier. Giru suggests deactivating the security system so Pan can enter. Together, they head to the control room, but while temporarily deactivating the system, Giru ends up surrounded by robots. This causes security to be reactivated, and Pan is again thrown out of the laboratory. However, this time, the Black Star Dragon Balls are also thrown out with her. Meanwhile, on the battlefield, Rildo, now with absolute control over the planet, begins to dominate the situation. Goku's attacks have no effect, and the Saiyan must constantly dodge metallic attacks to avoid being turned into metal, as happened to Trunks. Rildo's body seems extremely resistant, and so far, he has suffered no damage. When Pan approaches, bringing the balls, Goku tries to warn her to stay away. However, Rildo advances toward her, trapping Goku in a metallic structure. The villain then pursues Pan, and in the end, both Goku and Pan are transformed into metal, becoming unable to escape. With the Z-Warriors defeated, all are sent to Dr. Miyu's planet, where their metal plates are delivered to the scientist. He begins to prepare his new experiment. However, Jiru, who also reaches the planet via teleportation, takes the opportunity to attack the laboratory systems and deactivate the machines. Dr. Miyu, confused, does not understand what is happening. The truth, however, is that Jiru has been on the Z-Warriors' side the whole time. Using a device, Giru manages to free Goku and Pan, but Trunks' metal plate is taken by the robot. This causes great confusion inside the laboratory. Giru manages to activate the teleport to send General Rildo back to M2, but in the process, Trunks' plate is destroyed. However, Trunks is not dead. He had already been freed some time ago. Together with Giru, Trunks planned everything from the moment they arrived on the planet. Giru pretended to be on the side of the machine mutants to analyze the enemy territory. When Trunks was transformed into metal, Giru took the opportunity to investigate Dr. Miyu's laboratory. When he finds himself cornered, Dr. Miyu tries to flee, but Trunks stops him. During this investigation, Trunks discovers a secret room in the laboratory, where he finds an incubator housing Dr. Miyu's greatest creation, Baby, a still incomplete machine mutant. Trunks reveals that Baby is Dr. Mayu's true secret weapon, which he plans to use to rule the universe. Despite still being incomplete, Baby is activated and already demonstrates a power superior to Rildo's. However, to everyone's surprise, Baby is defeated relatively easily by the combined attacks of Goku, Trunks, and Pan. This leaves everyone perplexed, as they imagined Baby would be almost invincible. With his greatest creation destroyed, Dr. Mayu flees. The Z-Warriors, still needing to find the other Dragon Balls, decide to let him escape. Inside Dr. Mayu's ship, it is revealed that Baby is still alive, now inside the scientist's body. The villain reveals that he was the true creator of Dr. Mayu and all the machine mutants of M2. Baby is one of the last representatives of the Tuffle race, an extremely advanced civilization from planet Plant. For a long time, the Tuffles coexisted with the Saiyans, until a war broke out. Since the Saiyans were natural-born warriors, they managed to dominate the planet, decimate almost all the Tuffles, and take total control of the world, which would later be called Planet Vegeta. In an attempt to preserve their heritage, the few surviving Tuffles dispersed throughout the universe. Among their most ambitious projects was Baby, a biotechnological creation developed to store the race's genetic material. Furthermore, Baby was a parasitic organism, capable of taking over the bodies of others. Thirsting for revenge against the Saiyans, his plan is to use the Dragon Balls, especially the One-Star Ball, which was in Dr. Mayu's possession, to fulfill his goal. Meanwhile, after recovering the metal needed to repair their ship, Goku, Pan, and Trunks prepare to leave planet M2. Before departure, the group is surprised by a new attack from General Rildo. However, joining forces, the three manage to defeat him and escape the planet. What they didn't know was that Rildo was being controlled by Baby, who now begins to follow the trio closely. The space journey continues, and soon they pick up a signal from a Dragon Ball located in a destroyed ship near a star. With the ship trapped by the star's gravity, they must act quickly. During the exploration, they find the ball and upon returning, discover an unconscious boy on board. With no time to lose, they take the child with them. Since he was severely injured, they land on planet Petal, known for its advanced hospital. What the group doesn't know is that the boy was being manipulated by Baby, who used the Dragon Ball as a trap to lure the heroes. He had wiped out the ship's entire crew and was now searching for a suitable body among the Z fighters. Initially, Baby tries to get close to Goku and the others using the child's body. Failing that, he takes over the body of one of the doctors and manages to approach Trunks. Even so, Goku and Pan save him just in time. Baby reveals that his intention is to gather energy through multiple bodies, but he still lacks the strength to face the Saiyans directly. The three heroes face the parasite once more, and together, they defeat him. But before being eliminated, Baby releases a powerful explosion. Trunks, whose arm was wounded during the impact, ends up being possessed by the enemy. Now in Trunks' body, Baby attacks Goku and Pan. Goku hesitates to fight back, fearing he might hurt his friend. Trunks nearly eliminates Goku. However, his consciousness resurfaces, fighting an internal struggle against Baby. Since Baby had only possessed weaker bodies until then, with the exception of Rildo, he cannot fully contain a Saiyan's energy. When Trunks transforms into a Super Saiyan, he expels the parasite from his body, Baby realizes he cannot dominate a host more powerful than himself. With that, he decides to flee, occupying the body of a passenger at an airport and escaping the planet to carry on with his dark plans. 9 months have passed since Goku, Pan, and Trunks set out in search of the Black Star Dragon Balls. On Earth, although destruction seems imminent, the atmosphere is one of apparent normalcy. Vegeta, for example, decides to shave off his mustache after Bulma comments that it looks ridiculous. Meanwhile, Goten and Chi-Chi visit Bulma, and during this encounter, Goten meets up with his girlfriend. What no one expected was that Baby had already arrived on Earth. To grow strong enough to face Goku, the villain decides to go after the other Saiyans first. Goten becomes his primary target. Baby begins by possessing civilians to draw the young warrior's attention. Hercules is the first to arrive at the scene of the conflict, but he soon realizes it is beyond his capabilities, a clear mission for the Z Fighters. Goten arrives to help. He easily faces the civilians possessed by Baby. However, the villain had already evolved since his last confrontation with Goku and reveals his new form. Goten initially dominates the fight. However, distracted by a call from his girlfriend, he ends up wounded. Transforming into a Super Saiyan becomes inevitable. Exactly what Baby wanted. The plan was to make Goten use his energy and become vulnerable to possession. After gathering enough energy wandering through space and controlling other hosts, Baby was strong enough to dominate the body of a true Saiyan. Since Goten was weaker compared to Goku, Gohan, and Vegeta, the possession occurred with relative ease. Upon taking control, Baby also gained access to Goten's memories, allowing him to obtain valuable information about the Z Fighters. He then discovers that Vegeta is currently the most powerful among the Saiyans still on Earth. Determined to take the body of the Prince of Saiyans, Baby heads straight for Capsule Corp. There, Goten, already under the villain's control, finds Gohan and Videl. Gohan quickly realizes something is wrong with his brother, but avoids raising suspicions in front of Videl. He invites Goten to talk outside, where he reveals he already knows that is not the real Goten. Thus begins a battle between the brothers. During the confrontation, Gohan hesitates to use his full strength, worried about not hurting his real brother. This attitude ends up costing him. Baby Goten inflicts serious damage on Gohan. Trying to force him to release more energy, Baby presses until Gohan, with no other choice, transforms into a Super Saiyan. It's what Baby was waiting for. The instant Gohan reaches that power level, Baby abandons Goten's body and leaps into Gohan, concluding another phase of his revenge plan. Piccolo appears on the scene shortly after, trying to intervene. He demands that Baby leave Gohan's body, but it was already too late. More powerful than ever, Baby, now controlling Gohan, fires a devastating Kamehameha that nearly eliminates Piccolo. With his strength renewed, he sets off for the next target, Vegeta. In West City, Vegeta and his daughter Bula were returning from an afternoon of shopping when they are surprised by Baby Gohan, who attacks without hesitation. Vegeta immediately springs into action to protect Bula and, noticing something is wrong with Gohan, tells his daughter to run. The villain then reveals himself. He is the last survivor of the Tuffles, and he has come to eradicate the Saiyans from Earth. The battle between the two warriors begins intensely. Meanwhile, at Capsule Corp, Goten wakes up. Although he seems normal at first, Baby had already left a mark. Now he can control Goten even from a distance. Under this mental dominion, Goten flies toward the site of the fight between Baby and Vegeta. On the battlefield, Baby Gohan attacks with ferocity, and Vegeta, just as Gohan did before, tries to avoid causing fatal damage to his friend's body. However, realizing that Baby does not intend to leave Gohan's body, Vegeta changes tactics. He decides to eliminate both the parasite and the host and deal with the consequences later. At the height of the fight, Goten joins the confrontation. Trying to trick Vegeta, he approaches with a false look of concern. But the Prince of Saiyans soon realizes that Goten is also compromised. Now, with both brothers under Baby's influence, Vegeta faces an unequal struggle. Goten and Gohan surround him, firing multiple ki blasts and wounding him gravely. To break the siege, Vegeta releases all his energy in a powerful explosion. The force of the impact pushes the two brothers away, but it also has an unexpected side effect. It is at this moment that Baby abandons Gohan's body and, in a strategic maneuver, leaps into Vegeta's body. This was the true objective from the start. Unlike his previous host, Baby didn't just want to use Vegeta, he wanted to transform him completely. After invading his body, he begins to remodel it genetically. converting the Saiyan into a true Tuffle. Vegeta tries to resist the mental and physical domination, but it is in vain. With total control, Baby finally reaches his definitive form, Baby Vegeta. With no more resistance in his path, Baby, now in Vegeta's body, starts the final phase of his plan, spreading his infection across the entire planet. While Earth is taken over by the villain's control, Goku, Pan, and Trunks continue their search for the Black Star Dragon Balls, traveling through various worlds until they manage to gather the last necessary orb. With all of them in hand, the trio sets off back to Earth, unaware of what awaits them at home. Upon arriving, they head straight to Dende's lookout, with the goal of restoring balance and preventing the planet's destruction. However, what they don't know is that the entire Earth has already fallen under Baby's dominion. Even Dende is already infected. After leaving the Dragon Balls with Dende, each goes their own way. Goku and Pan return home, while Trunks goes to Capsule Corp. But the calm soon ends. Gohan and Goten, now servants of Baby, appear and attack Goku and Pan. At the same time, at the corporation headquarters, Trunks encounters the true enemy, Baby Vegeta. At first, Goku only tries to defend himself, not understanding why his sons are acting with such hostility. However, seeing Pan gravely injured, he drops his hesitation and decides to fight seriously. Even though they are his children, he feels the evil presence within them. For Goku, evil must be fought, regardless of the body it inhabits. The fight intensifies and Goku dominates the battle. Just as he prepares to launch a devastating Kamehameha to finish the fight, Hercule appears alongside Majin Buu. During Baby's initial attack on Earth, Hercule had hidden inside Buu's body as a form of protection. Sensing Goku's presence back on the planet, Buu brought him to him. Hercule begs Goku to stop the attack and explains what is really happening. Baby doesn't just control Gohan and Goten, but all the inhabitants of Earth. With this revelation, Goku finds himself in an even graver situation, and at that moment, Baby Vegeta appears before him, ready for battle. With all the warriors under his dominion gathered, Baby prepares his final assault. Goku asks Majin Buu to take Pan and Hercule to safety. Buu then turns the two into chocolate and flees with them, keeping them safe. The fight between Goku and Baby Vegeta begins, and the hero's disadvantage soon becomes evident. Baby, in addition to possessing Vegeta's body, also carries all his skills, techniques, and the combat knowledge accumulated over the years. His strength exceeds any expectation. Trunks and Bula arrive at the battlefield. Goku believed Trunks was still free from Baby's control, but he discovers that he was also infected back during the events on planet Pido. Thus, the circle closes completely. In an attempt to balance things out, Goku transforms into a Super Saiyan 3. However, his child body is unable to maintain this powerful form for long. The transformation consumes an absurd amount of energy, and soon Goku begins to feel the effects. His strength drains rapidly, leaving him vulnerable. Baby, driven by deep hatred, especially regarding the events involving Dr. Mew, doesn't just want to defeat Goku, he wants to exterminate him completely. Even though Goku never did anything directly against him, Baby's rancor speaks louder. Completely exhausted and wounded, Goku has no strength left to react. He remains standing only out of stubbornness, barely managing to stay conscious. Even so, his fighting spirit does not go out, but his body can no longer keep up. Realizing that the fight is already decided, Baby Vegeta gathers the power of all the beings under his control and undergoes a new transformation, reaching an even more powerful form. The accumulated energy gives rise to a fearsome new attack, a black sphere of pure malice, similar to a spirit bomb, but corrupted by hatred and revenge. This sphere, charged with negative energy, has a devastating effect. Anyone struck by it has their body disintegrated at a molecular level, making any attempt at resurrection impossible. In other words, the person is erased from existence. Facing this threat, Goku, exhausted and out of options, stares at what might be his end. With no strength to react or even move, Kid Goku is hit full force by Baby Vegeta's devastating attack. The explosion is colossal, so intense that even Majin Buu, far from the scene, can see it. When the dust settles, Goku has disappeared, and Baby, convinced he has finally eliminated his greatest obstacle, considers himself victorious. With Goku out of the fight and all the inhabitants of Earth under his command, Baby believes nothing else can stop him. Gathering his main allies, he uses the Black Star Dragon Balls again, summoning the powerful Ultimate Shenron. Before the dragon, Baby wishes to restore the Tuffle's home world, planet. His wish is granted, but with a twist, the new planet appears right next to Earth. Regardless, the villain intends to rebuild the ancient Tuffle civilization on that reborn world. After fulfilling the wish, Ultimate Shenron disappears, and the Black Star Dragon Balls scatter across the universe once more. Because of this, the countdown to Earth's destruction resumes exactly where it had left off. Meanwhile, Goku wakes up in a completely different place, a dark and enigmatic dimension where he meets a strange creature named Sugoro. He explains that Goku is in the space between dimensions and can only leave if he wins a deadly board game. Victory guarantees freedom, but defeat means death. At first, Goku treats the situation lightly, but soon Kibito Kai appears with the true explanation. At the moment Baby launched his final attack, he used the Kai technique to rescue Goku. However, the force of Baby's blow was so great that it distorted the teleportation, accidentally throwing Goku into that dimension. Meanwhile, on Earth, Baby begins preparations to migrate the entire controlled population to planet Tuffle. Bulma, also under the villain's control, builds a massive ship for the mass transfer. In another part of the planet, Majin Buu, Pan, and Hercule hide, while trying to come up with a plan. Back in the space between dimensions, Goku begins to suspect the game. He realizes the dice are loaded. Sugoro is cheating to keep him trapped there. Tired of the unfair game, Goku decides that the only way out is to destroy the dimension itself. He gathers his energy and launches a powerful Kamehameha that breaks the barriers of the place. The impact allows Kibito Kai to locate his ki and rescue him, taking him to the sacred world of the Kai. There, old Kai reveals that, as he is, Goku has no chance against Baby, especially now that the villain has absorbed the power of the Saiyans. To help him awaken his true strength, the Elder begins a process to regrow Goku's tail, believing this will reactivate his latent potential. With the help of a giant pair of pliers, they try to pull the tail back out. Meanwhile, on Earth, Pan and Hercule try to blend in with the population, but they are discovered by Baby Vegeta. Just as they are about to be attacked, they are saved by Oob, who appears to challenge the villain. In the first moments of the fight, Oob surprises Baby with his speed and skill, managing to dodge and even land some counterattacks. Irritated by the intervention, Baby calls the other controlled Saiyans to help him, but when they appear, Baby Vegeta, consumed by pride, takes offense at the idea that he needs help and knocks them all out at once with a brutal attack. The battle continues, but soon Baby begins to dominate Oob. Watching everything, Majin Buu decides to act. He first takes Pan and Hercule to a safe location and emotionally says goodbye to Hercule, the only one who believed in him and helped him change. Buu returns to the battlefield at the exact moment to save Oob from a fatal blow. It is then that he reveals an important secret. Oob is the reincarnation of his old evil version, Kid Buu. They were once one in the past, and now they need to fuse again to release their full potential. With this, the fusion between the two occurs, giving rise to the powerful warrior Majub, ready to face Baby Vegeta with a new strength. On the sacred world of the Kai, the efforts to restore Goku's tail face several failures. With each frustrated attempt, doubt grows about the plan's effectiveness. However, after much persistence, they finally discover a functional method and manage to make Goku's tail grow back, an essential step toward unlocking the true sleeping power of the Saiyans. Meanwhile, on planet Tuffle, the situation becomes increasingly tense. Ubi, now fused with Majin Buu, shows an impressive jump in power that takes Baby Vegeta by surprise. The new fusion, besides being powerful, brings with it Buu's magical abilities, including the capacity to turn enemies into chocolate. Ubi tries to use this technique against Baby, betting everything on this decisive attack. However, the advantage is short-lived. Baby's energy overwhelms the attack and reverses it, and tragically, Ubi ends up being turned into chocolate and devoured by the enemy. At that moment, Goku and Kibito Kai finally arrive on planet Tuffle, but it is too late. Ubi's sacrifice was in vain. With his tail restored, Goku enters combat by transforming into a Super Saiyan 3. This time he manages to maintain the form thanks to the newly recovered tail. However, something is still wrong. Despite his stability in the transformation, his attacks remain ineffective against Baby Vegeta. Old Kai had bet that the return of the tail would unlock a new level of power, but he underestimated an important detail. The tail by itself does not make the warrior stronger. It serves as a trigger for the Great Ape transformation. Without understanding this in time, Goku is once again defeated. Exhausted and defeated, Goku looks at the sky and contemplates the earth, feeling helpless in the face of imminent destruction. Memories of his friends and loved ones flood his mind. It is in this moment of vulnerability that something unexpected happens. The light reflected from the earth triggers a reaction in his tail, as if he were facing a full moon. This light awakens the primal power of the Saiyans, and Goku transforms into a great ape, but not like before. Instead of the traditional brown fur, he takes the form of a golden great ape with an aura similar to that of a Super Saiyan. It is a legendary transformation that Baby recognizes from ancient stories, the same one used by the Saiyans when they destroyed the Tuffle people in the past. Even so, Baby does not back down. He tries to gather energy to launch his revenge death ball again, charged with negative energy. But the savage and overwhelming attacks of the Golden Great Ape prevent him from completing the technique. Goku, completely out of control, dominates the battlefield with crushing strength and speed. Meanwhile, Pan and Hercule manage to approach the site of the confrontation. The girl had felt her grandfather's ki as soon as he arrived on the planet and rushed to find him. When she finds him transformed and out of control, Pan realizes the danger the great ape form represents, not only to Baby, but also to the innocent, many of whom are still under the villain's control. Pan desperately tries to make Goku regain consciousness, but nothing seems to work. Old Kai had already warned, without proper training, the great ape form dominates the user's mind. But there was no time to prepare Goku. The tail regeneration process was rushed, and now they are reaping the consequences. The only way is to make Goku regain his lucidity. If they cut his tail, he will lose the transformation, and with it, the only chance to face Baby Vegeta. The villain himself realizes the potential of the transformation, and fearing that Vegeta might reach the same level, decides to withdraw from the battle to put a new plan into action. Meanwhile, Pan continues trying to connect with her grandfather, even risking her life by getting too close to the great ape. In the middle of the chaos, a family photo she was carrying falls near the golden giant. Seeing it, Goku hesitates. Something inside him changes. The image awakens his memories of Pan, of his friends, of everything he loves. Slowly, Goku begins to regain control. His consciousness strengthens until he can completely dominate the power of the Golden Great Ape. At that moment, the transformation reaches a new level. Goku returns to human form, but now enveloped by a completely different energy. He reaches, for the first time, the legendary form of Super Saiyan 4, the true weapon against Baby Vegeta. With Pan and Hercule finally safe, Goku prepares for the decisive battle against Baby Vegeta. He heads to the laboratory where the villain and Bulma are analyzing how Goku managed to transform into a great ape using the light reflected from Earth, an unlikely alternative to the traditional full moon. As soon as Goku arrives, Baby moves to the confrontation. This time, the power disparity between them has decreased significantly. Even so, Goku does not reveal his full potential immediately. Newly transformed into a Super Saiyan 4, he decides to test the limits of this new form, allowing Baby to believe he still has some chance. Baby responds with his most destructive technique, the feared revenge death ball. However, the attack has no effect. Goku is barely shaken. He then advances with everything, completely reversing the situation and pinning Baby against the wall. At this point, Goku does not intend to show mercy, not after everything the villain has done. Seeing that the combat is nearing an unfavorable end, Bulma tells Baby that the Blutz wave generator is ready to be activated. Baby hesitates. He doubts the technique will work without a tail, but faced with the imminent threat of defeat, he has no choice. The tower fires the Blutz waves, and thanks to Vegeta's body, Baby transforms into a gigantic great ape, even without possessing a tail. Unlike Goku, Baby Great Ape maintains full consciousness during the transformation. Since his mind is distinct from Vegeta's, he manages to control the transformed body, becoming an even more dangerous adversary. His power now rivals that of Super Saiyan 4 Goku, although Goku still maintains a slight advantage. Driven by rage, Great Ape Baby begins to attack indiscriminately, putting the entire population of Earth at risk. In a cowardly gesture, he focuses his attacks on Chi-Chi and Videl, forcing Goku to intervene to protect them. The villain then fires a Super Gallic gun at the planet. Although the blast doesn't cause large-scale destruction, it serves to provoke Goku, further fueling his fury. It is at this moment that Goku reveals his new technique, the 10x Kamehameha. The attack hits Baby head-on, creating a colossal explosion. Goku believes he has finally defeated the enemy, and deeply laments Vegeta's involvement in this whole situation. But Baby survives, and once again fires an attack at the Earth. Goku places himself in front of it, and absorbs the full impact in a desperate act of protection that leaves him even more debilitated. To Baby's surprise, the effect of the 10x Kamehameha doesn't end there. The attack causes progressive internal damage to Great Ape Baby's body, which begins to slowly weaken. Both warriors are now exhausted, their bodies marked by intense combat and energy loss. Meanwhile, on the sacred world of the Kai, Old Kai declares it is time to act, not on the front lines, but in a way that can turn the tide. He reveals that the sacred water, kept in Dende's lookout, can free the Z fighters from Baby's influence. Kibito Kai is given the mission to retrieve it. On Earth, Kibito Kai infiltrates the lookout, where Dende and Mr. Popo are still under Baby's control. During the mission, he ends up cornered by the two. In the middle of the confusion, a jar of sacred water breaks and hits Dende and Mr. Popo, freeing both from possession. This confirms the water's effectiveness, and Kibito Kai quickly departs with it for planet Tuffle, beginning the purification of the Z fighters one by one. On the battlefield, Goku's advantage begins to disappear. Bulma reactivates the Blutz wave generator, and the new burst of energy revitalizes Baby, restoring his full strength. Goku, on the other hand, has used almost all his energy protecting the Earth, and now struggles just to stay standing. Despite pretending to still be in top form, the physical toll is evident. Pan appears, determined to help. Moved by what Baby has done to the Earth and her loved ones, she releases all her power in a brave but ineffective attack. Baby strikes her with ease. Goku tries to draw the villain's attention, but he is so exhausted he cannot even gather enough energy to launch another Kamehameha. Baby ignores Goku and prepares to deliver the final blow to Pan. When all seems lost, Trunks appears. Already freed from Baby's control thanks to the sacred water, he intervenes at the right moment, hitting Baby and preventing Pan from being killed. With the help of Kibito Kai's instantaneous movement, Goten and Gohan arrive at the battlefield. The three Saiyans try to face Baby to buy time until Goku can recover. However, Goku immediately warns them, even if Goten and Trunks perform the fusion dance, the chances of victory against Baby are practically zero. Instead of insisting on fighting, Goku proposes another solution. He needs the energy of all the Saiyans present. Only then can he return with full strength. The problem is that Baby won't just stand around waiting. The villain tries to prevent the Saiyans from approaching Goku. In a distraction attempt, Goku uses the solar flare, but the technique isn't enough to hold Baby back for long. At that moment, something unexpected happened. Oob, who is still inside Baby's body even after being turned into chocolate, awakens and causes a stomach ache so severe that it temporarily paralyzes the villain. Seizing the opportunity, Oob returns to his original form and concentrates his ki to restrain Baby's movements from the inside out, starting an internal battle. While the fight between the two takes place inside Baby's body, the Saiyans manage to transfer their energy to Goku. Even after violently expelling Oob, Baby cannot stop the process. Goku is already fully restored, reaching the state of full power Super Saiyan 4. The true final battle begins, and it soon becomes clear that Great Ape Baby is no longer a match for Goku. The power gap is brutal. Goku even mocks the villain during the fight. Desperate, Baby launches his most destructive technique, the Revenge Death Ball. Goku takes the hit head-on, but instead of being destroyed, he absorbs all the malignant energy of the sphere, leaving Baby completely incredulous. Following this, Goku responds with a powerful 10x Kamehameha, which hits Baby full force and knocks him down. Even with victory imminent, Goku cannot simply kill the villain after all. That would mean eliminating Vegeta as well. So he aims with precision and fires an energy blast that cuts off Baby's tail, causing him to revert to his original form, Baby Vegeta. Without the Great Ape form, Baby loses control over Vegeta's body. Unable to stay there, he is forced to abandon it. Vegeta's body had adapted to the transformation, but now, without the tail and without energy, Baby can no longer resist. With no more Saiyans under his influence, Baby tries to flee. He returns to Bulma's ship and initiates takeoff, determined to escape the planet. If he succeeded, he could look for new bodies and return even more dangerous in the future. But Goku doesn't give him that chance. As soon as Baby's ship enters the sun's orbit, Goku fires one more 10x Kamehameha. The attack pushes the ship directly into the solar core, destroying Baby completely, a definitive victory. With the threat eliminated, the Z fighters gather at Dende's lookout. Goku, now back in his child form, still retains the ability to transform into Super Saiyan 4. Meanwhile, Kibito Kai organizes the liberation of Earth's inhabitants. By turning the sacred water into a mist, they managed to purify the population that was still under Baby's control. Meanwhile, Gohan and Kibito Kai head toward planet Tuffle to do the same for those who were there. But even with the victory, a new problem emerges, one that everyone had forgotten in the chaos of battle. Before Goku, Pan, and Trunks' space mission, the Earth had only 1 year of life remaining due to the wish made with the Black Star Dragon Balls. When Baby used the balls, the clock kept ticking. Now the planet is on the brink of destruction. Earthquakes and explosions begin to devastate the Earth. Dende and Mr. Popo, who were still under Baby's control when the balls were delivered, were unable to return them to the altar, which means they are lost throughout the universe. There are only 2 weeks left until the end of the planet. Gathering all 7 balls in time is impossible. Faced with this, the Z fighters decide to evacuate the entire population to planet Tuffle. The rescue operation is massive, involving Capsule Corp ships, Goku's instant transmission, and Kibito Kai's teleportation. Amidst the population of the imminent risk, Hercule springs into action, and as always, his charisma proves essential. While the Z Fighters help people board in the big cities, Goku and Kibito Kai travel to the most remote regions, transporting old friends and residents who would have no way to get there on their own. During the following 2 weeks, no effort is spared. The focus now is ensuring that no inhabitant of Earth is left behind. On the last day before Earth's destruction, the last Capsule Corp ship prepares to depart. On it, besides thousands of people, even the animals that could be saved are boarded, including dinosaurs. Still, some people stayed behind, either because they couldn't arrive in time or because they accepted the planet's fate. With time running out and unable to delay the takeoff any longer, Goku takes the initiative to use instant transmission to personally fetch whoever was still on the surface. During these trips back and forth, he finds a child who had been separated from their parents. The child was with Piccolo. With no time for explanations, Goku tries to return to the ship, but the excessive use of the technique takes its toll. He loses the Super Saiyan 4 form, and with it, his ability to continue teleporting. Seeing the situation, Piccolo transfers part of his energy to Goku, giving him the strength to perform instant transmission one last time. However, without realizing it, Goku only takes the child and their dog, and leaves Piccolo behind. With the Earth about to explode, Piccolo remains alone on the planet. Before the end, he connects telepathically with Gohan to say goodbye. With pride, he says how much Gohan has grown and how proud he is of the man he has become. Piccolo's decision goes beyond personal sacrifice. He knew that because he was linked to the Black Star Dragon Balls, created by Kami before separating from his evil half, his death would mean the end of those balls. And so, by disappearing along with the Earth, he ensures that no other world will ever face the same risk. In the explosion that destroys the planet, Goku and Gohan witness the loss of a dear friend, master, ally, and father figure. Sometime later, the Z Fighters turn to the Grand Elder of Namek and the Dragon Poronga to restore the Earth. The wish is granted and the planet returns to life. With everyone safe, the heroes gather in a grand celebration, marking the start of a new period of peace. However, a new mystery begins to take shape. The Earth's Dragon Balls are undergoing strange and still inexplicable changes. Meanwhile, after Baby's defeat, a new World Martial Arts tournament is organized. Goku, because of his child stature, is entered into the junior division. Meanwhile, Pan participates in the adult division at the request of Hercule, who plans to make her his successor. Since Majin Buu's death, Hercule no longer feels the need to defend his title as champion. But the hero's plans are quickly frustrated when Pan, in the middle of the competition, decides to drop out of the tournament. She doesn't want to carry her grandfather's legacy. Goku is also eliminated, this time due to a pure distraction caused by Vegeta. With the favorites out of the running, the final comes down to Hercule and the mysterious masked fighter known as Papayaman, who is actually Yub in disguise. Unaware of Hercule's true history, Yubin believes he is facing a genuine savior of Earth. Because of this, he goes all out against him without holding back. What Yubin didn't know is that for years, the Z Fighters always let Hercule win to maintain his public image as a symbol of hope. But no one had explained this to the young fighter. Just as Yub is about to deliver the final blow, Majin Buu communicates with him telepathically. He explains that Hercule is more than just a champion. He represents the people's faith in justice and heroes. If he is publicly defeated, that hope might vanish. Yub understands the message, and even though he could win, he lets Hercule emerge as the champion once again. A short time later, during a lunch with Goku and Bulma's families, peace is once again interrupted. Trunks appears, gravely injured. Before passing out, he murmurs the name Android 17. At that instant, everyone notices a strange phenomenon in the sky. A distorted hole appears, opening a portal between Earth and the other world. King Kai contacts Goku to explain the gravity of the situation. It is an interdimensional connection. In Hell, two evil scientists, Dr. Gero and Dr. Mayu, join forces to create a new Android 17. The plan is sinister. This new version is capable of exerting influence over the original Android 17 still on Earth, creating a dangerous link between the two worlds. And so, a new chapter in the history of the Z Fighters is about to begin. Driven by a deep hatred for Goku, Dr. Gero and Dr. Mayu join forces in Hell to put a dark plan into action, merge the power of two Android 17s, to create a perfect entity capable of opening a portal between Hell and Earth. Dr. Gero reveals that Android 17 always had power beyond what was predicted, but part of his energy had been sealed due to his emotional instability. Now, with the advanced technology of Dr. Mayu's machine mutants, the two androids can unite and release all that potential. Meanwhile, Trunks wakes up after being attacked by surprise. He informs the others that he was wounded by Android 17 himself, who also left a message. All the old enemies defeated by Goku will return to Earth, and only he can stop them, but to do so he will have to go to Hell alone. While the Z fighters are still digesting the news, the invasion has already begun. Villains from the past emerge one by one, many of them long forgotten. Among those returning are Frieza, Cooler, King Cold, General Rildo, Babidi, the Ginyu Force, Red Ribbon Soldiers, and other historical enemies. With the threat spreading, Goku decides to cross the portal toward Hell, while the other Z fighters set out to protect the city. Despite the number of enemies, most of them do not represent a great challenge. On Earth, Pan, Gohan, Goten, and Trunks split up to contain the attacks. In Hell, Goku finds King Yema's staff trapped, and then Dr. Gero, Dr. Mew, and the new Android 17 appear. Without fighting, the three cross the portal back to Earth, leaving Goku trapped there. But he is not alone for long. Frieza and Cell appear before him. The two claim they have evolved since the last time they faced each other. Even so, Goku manages to defeat them with ease, without even needing to transform into a Super Saiyan. He dodges, counterattacks, and beats them with their own techniques. The problem is that, because they are in Hell, the villains cannot be permanently destroyed. They always return. Meanwhile, on Earth, Vegeta reunites with Nappa, and as in the past, he does not hesitate to defeat him. Shortly after, the two scientists reappear and order the new Android 17 to face Vegeta, while Gohan faces General Rildo in another part of the city. During the combat, Gohan's arm is transformed into metal, but he receives support from Oob and the other Z fighters, who help defeat Rildo for good. Jiru also assists Gohan during his recovery. In Hell, the battle against Frieza and Cell continues. They try new combined attacks, and in a moment of carelessness, Cell manages to absorb Goku. But it is useless. Goku escapes quickly, and now that he knows the powers of both better, no blow seems to work against him. Still, the villains have one last card up their sleeve, a technique developed specifically for Goku. Using the Hellbuster, they imprison him and hurl him into the depths of Hell. On the surface, the fight between Vegeta and the new Android 17 remains intense. The android's true plan, however, is merely to buy time. His counterpart, the original Android 17, is on his way. Before that, he decides to pay a visit to his sister. Android 18, Krillin, and their daughter try to escape the city, but explosions surround them. Android 17 appears and tries to convince his sister to join him. Slowly, he begins to exert his mental influence over her, weakening her will. Krillin interferes, trying to bring 17 back to his senses. He reminds them both that after Cell's defeat, peace was won. 18 married him and built a family, while 17 went his own way, living quietly across the world. But corrupted by Dr. Gero's mental control, Android 17 ignores these memories. For an instant, Krillin's words seem to take effect, but the moment passes quickly, and 17, consumed by the evil influence, attacks. Krillin is killed in front of his wife and daughter. Enraged, Android 18 charges at her brother with everything she has. The combat is brutal, but 17's power proves superior. Amidst the confrontation, she tells her daughter to run. The area is too dangerous. Android 17 tries to hit the child, but 18 throws herself in front to protect her. Even so, she cannot defeat him. Gravely wounded, she falls beside Krillin's body, unconscious. Goku is hurled into Hell into a dark region intended for torture, where an old woman subjects him to a cruel tour of suffering until he ends up trapped inside a block of magical ice. This was exactly Frieza and Cell's plan. The ice of Hell does not melt, as it was created to imprison evil souls. But now that Goku is frozen, it seemed his fight had come to an end. However, the trick worked only on souls. Since Goku reached Hell while still alive, he manages to break free from the ice to his enemy's surprise. Knowing he has lost too much time trapped in Hell, Goku decides to reverse the situation and use their own plan against his adversaries. Frieza and Cell being dead and trapped in magical ice. Meanwhile, Vegeta faces Android 17, impressed by his strength. But Dr. Gero warns that this isn't all the android can show. In that instant, the other Android 17 appears, and the Z fighters gather to help Vegeta. They then witness the fusion of the two androids, who become the fearsome Super 17, a threat with a monstrous ki, something unusual for androids, who normally do not possess life energy. Despite the combined attacks of the Z fighters, Super 17 remains immune. Not even the blows from Gohan, transformed into a Super Saiyan, cause damage. The android dominates the battle with terrifying speed, firing energy blasts across the field and forcing the heroes to hide. While the Z fighters suffer, Goku asks King Yama for help to leave the other world, but he is informed that an unknown force is blocking the passage between worlds. Curiously, somewhere on Earth, the Dragon Balls begin to mysteriously crack. Yama explains that Goku will have to find a way to escape Hell on his own. At that moment, Piccolo appears in contact with Yama, proposing a plan to rescue Goku. However, Yama does not allow him to go to Hell. With no other choice, Piccolo makes a drastic decision. He destroys part of heaven and pretends to be the old Demon King Piccolo, forcing Yama to send him to Hell. Despite regretting the damage caused, Piccolo knows his priority is to save Goku. Upon arriving in Hell, he surprises Goku with his presence. The Namekian then communicates with Dende on Earth, and the two coordinate a solution, create a portal between the other world and Earth, similar to what the androids did. After several attempts, Piccolo and Dende manage to stabilize the portal, allowing Goku to return, while Piccolo remains behind to prevent something similar from happening again. Back on Earth, the Z fighters were nearly defeated. Vegeta was the only one still resisting, but even he could not overcome Super 17's power. At that instant, Pawn appears and attacks Dr. Gero, who is forced to order Super 17 to stop the battle. However, Dr. Gero is betrayed. Dr. Miu reprogrammed Super 17 to obey only him, and the android turns against Gero, who is left behind as Pawn flees. Jiru is also gravely hit. Vegeta, exhausted, stands up to continue the fight, but he is saved at the last instant by the arrival of Goku, who returns to the battle already transformed into a Super Saiyan. Dr. Gero of Miu remains confident in his creation's strength. The battle begins explosively. Goku delivers a punch so powerful it hurls Super 17 to the other side of the planet, but the android responds with ki blasts even from a distance. Goku closes in, dodging the attacks, and lands new blows. However, Super 17 is already starting to adapt to the Saiyan's strength. Quickly, he fires several energy blasts and then a direct Kamehameha at point-blank range. To Goku's surprise, these attacks do not weaken the enemy, on the contrary, they strengthen him. Super 17's body absorbs the received energy, making him even more powerful with every strike. After a while, Goku realizes the mistake he was making and changes his fighting strategy. If attacking wasn't working, then he just had to attack harder. Goku uses the 10x Kamehameha, his most powerful attack to date. Even so, Super 17 manages to absorb all the energy. Goku realizes that his best strategies aren't working, and now he is in deep trouble. Because of all the energy Super 17 accumulated from previous strikes, he is now stronger than Goku. Left with no options, Goku believes the only way to defeat the villain is by self-destructing along with him. But Super 17 was prepared even for that. Goku's explosion hits a massive area but doesn't cause major damage to the villain. Super 17 uses an energy shield to protect himself from the attack, and the only one who suffers from the explosion is Goku himself, who, although still alive, can no longer maintain his Super Saiyan 4 form. Super 17 moves in for the final blow, but Android 18 intervenes, ready to avenge Krillin's death. She screams at Super 17, calling him weak and pathetic for allowing himself to be controlled by someone, saying that the Android 17 she knew was not a cold-blooded killer. Android 18 claims that if Super 17 fires, she will be forced to detonate the bomb inside her body. Although she is lying, since the bomb was removed after the events of the Cell Saga, Super 17 doesn't know this and hesitates. Meanwhile, Dr. Mayu begins shouting at the android, ordering him to attack regardless of the bomb. Dr. Mayu's orders irritate Super 17, who turns against his creator and fires his strongest attack, eliminating the scientist. Android 18 begins firing infinite energy blast. Super 17 absorbs every attack, even if it doesn't destroy him. 18 wants to avenge Krillin's death. Goku notices that while Super 17 is absorbing energy, he cannot move, leaving his guard wide open. So Goku seizes this chance. Since androids do not get tired, 18 continues the bombardment, and Goku advances through her attack. Concentrating all his energy, Goku uses the Dragon Fist, piercing through Super 17's body and finishing the fight with a powerful Kamehameha, completely eliminating the enemy. Android 18 doesn't understand why 17 did all that, but Goku believes it was precisely thanks to the old 17 that they managed to win. He tells 18 that even while under the control of Dr. Gero and Dr. Miu, The real 17 still remembered her, and that's why he hesitated to attack her, not because of the bomb, but because she was his sister. The old 17 only acted that way because he was under the influence of the scientists, but he never truly wanted to hurt Android 18. Shortly after, Bulma, Videl, Chi-Chi, and Bula arrive where Goku and Android 18 are. Bulma warns that the planet is in chaos. Because of the portal between Earth and Hell, the world is suffering a massive imbalance, and Earth is in danger once again. So they decide to go after the Dragon Balls, both to restore the planet's balance and to resurrect everyone who was killed, such as Krillin. After some time, Pan, Trunks, and Goku set off in search of the Dragon Balls. But something is wrong. All the orbs are cracked. Everyone is worried, as this had never happened before. Even so, they decide to summon Shenron. Goku calls for Shenron, but nothing happened. He tries again. Suddenly the sky darkened, but in a way that is different from normal. Instead of night falling, the sky turns grim and reddish. A massive earthquake occurs, and from the Dragon Balls, a black smoke begins to pour out, taking the form of a black dragon. This time, the dragon summoned is not Shenron, but a malignant entity. The Z fighters had barely defeated one enemy, and now they are already facing another. The new dragon emerging from the Dragon Balls is a dark version of Shenron, who refuses to grant the hero's wishes. King Kai warns that this is not the same Shenron everyone was used to seeing. This new dragon, called the Black Smoke Shenron, after absorbing the Dragon Balls, splits into 7 different entities. Each one carries part of his power and scatters across the planet, creating a new threat. North Kai and Old Kai clarify to Goku and the others that with the creation of the Dragon Radar, the Z fighters began using the orbs with excessive frequency. This generated an accumulation of negative energy, something the orbs were not made to withstand. Originally, the Dragon Balls were supposed to be used only once every 100 years, precisely to preserve the balance between positive and negative energies. But the constant use to solve every kind of problem upset this system, and the negative energy eventually manifested. This accumulated energy has now taken form as the 7 Shadow Dragon, each born from a past wish. Leaving them free would mean allowing them to spread destruction everywhere. Faced with this new threat, Goku embarks on one more journey. He must defeat the 7 evil dragons and restore the true Shenron. The search for the Dragon Balls begins again. Although he set off alone, Goku soon finds himself aimless, since he doesn't know where the balls are. Luckily for him, Pan and Jiru were following him, and Jiru has the Dragon Radar. The first enemy they face is Hei's Shenron, the 2-star dragon. He represents pollution and toxicity, and he was born from Upa's wish to bring his father Bora back to life after he was killed by mercenary Tao. Despite his robust appearance, Hei's Shenron is actually the weakest of the 7. His ability reduces the life energy of living beings, but it does not affect machines like Giru. Pan and Goku manage to defeat him easily by combining their attacks. Next, they face Rage Shenron, the 5-star dragon. His element is electricity, and he has the power of regeneration. He was born when Master Roshi used the Dragon Balls to revive Goku before the confrontation with Nappa and Vegeta. Rage Shenron is eventually defeated when he suffers a short circuit caused by rain. The third dragon is Oshines Shenron, the 6-star dragon. She is the only one with a feminine appearance, at least while she maintains her disguise, and she controls wind and water. Her emergence is linked to an unusual wish. Oolong had asked for Bulma's panties to prevent Pilaf from making a wish. Oshines, who posed as a sea princess and helped the locals with fish, is defeated by Pan, who overcomes the power of the wind, and Goku finishes the encounter with a Kamehameha. Next, Goku faces Naturon Shenron, the 7-star dragon. With an appearance similar to a giant mole, he represents the element of earth. This dragon was born from the wish to revive those who died at the hands of Majin Vegeta during the World Martial Arts Tournament. Naturon causes great difficulty by absorbing Pan, preventing Goku from attacking him directly. However, the dragon gets careless while taunting Goku, and a part of Pan's body manifests. Goku seizes the opportunity to rescue her, and eliminates the enemy with his classic attack. The next challenge is Nuova Shenron, the 4-star dragon linked to the element of fire. He was born from King Piccolo's wish to restore his youth. Unlike the other dragons, Nuova has a strong sense of honor and refuses to use underhanded tactics. This may be related to the connection between the 4-star ball and Goku's grandfather, Grandpa Gohan, or the fact that the wish that originated him, though selfish, generated less negative energy. During combat, Nuova shows respect for Goku and even spares Pan at his request. Even while wearing an exoskeleton that limits his power, he proves to be extremely agile and capable of increasing his body temperature making it difficult for Goku to get close without risking getting burned. Goku finds himself in trouble as he is chased through the city, unable to find an opening to counterattack. His only effective strike happens when he uses the solar flare to temporarily blind his opponent, and then lands a Kamehameha. Near the battle, Giru is looking after Pan, who remains unconscious, but the situation changes drastically when a wave of sudden cold freezes the entire area. A new dragon appears and knocks Giru out with ease. Meanwhile, Nuova Shenron decides to reveal his true form. He sheds his exoskeleton and takes on his golden form. In response, Goku finally decides to take the fight seriously and transforms into a Super Saiyan 4. Far away at Capsule Corp, Vegeta is frustrated by his inability to help Goku. However, Bulma is about to change that. She is working on a Blutz wave generator, similar to the one Baby used in the past, to allow Vegeta to also reach the Super Saiyan 4 transformation. Unlike Baby, however, Vegeta will be able to control the Golden Great Ape form and evolve into Super Saiyan 4 without losing consciousness. During the previous fight on Planet Tuffle, his body was unable to complete the transformation due to Baby's cells, but with the help of the new machine, that will no longer be a problem. Meanwhile, the combat between Goku and Nuova Shenron intensifies. The fight is now balanced, and Goku manages to get close with more ease. Despite the dragon's incredible speed, Goku begins to predict his movements and adapts his reflexes to his opponent's fighting style. At a certain point, Goku corners Norova inside a tunnel and has the chance to finish him off, but he decides to spare his life. Norova doesn't understand the reason until Goku explains he is returning the dragon's gesture, as he could have hurt Pan, but chose to maintain his honor and fight fairly. Nuova's attitude makes Goku see him not as a simple enemy, but as a warrior worthy of respect. However, before the battle can continue, a surprise attack freezes Goku's arm. Ice Shenron, the 3-star dragon, appears and introduces himself as Nuova's brother. Ices, who was born from the wish to revive the victims of King Piccolo, controls the element of ice. He reveals that he has recovered the Dragon Balls gathered by Goku, leaving the Saiyan frustrated. Attempting to convince Nueva to join him against Goku, Ice is met with a refusal. Nueva refuses to betray his honor. Ice then freezes Goku's other arm as well and begins to attack him. Even immobilized, Goku manages to react using only his legs. Seeing that he cannot defeat him fairly, Ice completely freezes Goku's body and asks Nueva to finish the job. Pressured, Nueva hesitates, but instead of attacking, he uses his own firepower to melt the ice and free Goku. Free again, Goku claims he will end the fight in less than 10 seconds. Ice and Nueva do not take the threat seriously, but they soon realize Goku is not joking. Ice tries to turn the tide by freezing the entire city, turning the environment into a frozen battlefield. However, before 5 seconds pass, Goku already completely dominates the fight. He does not end the combat only because Ice uses Pan as a human shield. This forces Goku to act with caution, focusing on protecting her at all costs. Even with his arms still suffering from the effects of the ice, Goku manages to dodge and keep Pan safe. Ice, however, continues with his underhanded tactics. At one point, he hides behind Nuva, preventing Goku from launching a Kamehameha. Ice tries to freeze him again, but this time Goku breaks through the ice blockade on his own. Tired of the enemy's cowardice, Goku decides to end the fight for good. Ice, in desperation, begs for his life and hands over his orb, pretending to surrender. But before being defeated, he launches one last treacherous attack. He uses the ice from the field to wound Goku's eyes, leaving him temporarily blind. Even deprived of his sight, Goku does not give up. Determined, he continues fighting and, even at a disadvantage, manages to defeat Ice Shenron by using his most powerful technique, the Dragon Fist, which completely destroys the enemy's body. With the victory, Goku wins his 5th Dragon Ball. As a sign of respect and admiration, Nuva Shenron offers him an antidote capable of restoring his vision. Furthermore, he states that his battle with Goku will happen at another time. Despite being on opposite sides, the two develop a sort of momentary alliance. Nuva admits to having a certain flexibility regarding people, which demonstrates his nobler nature among the Shadow Dragons. But the brief truce is brutally interrupted. A surprise attack hits Nuva Shenron head-on, killing him instantly and destroying the antidote. The one responsible is none other than the last and most powerful of the Shadow Dragons, Sin Shenron, the 1-star dragon. Unlike the others, Sin is not linked to a single element. His true power lies in the ability to absorb the powers of the 7 Dragon Balls when gathered. He is the pinnacle of negative energy, born from the wish to resurrect everyone who died on Namek during the fight against Frieza. This wish, besides being complex, also involved the use of Porunga to teleport the Namekians to Earth, which made the orb responsible for this wish charged with extreme negative energy. Among the shadow dragons, strength does not depend only on the orb itself, but on the depth and complexity of the wish that gave rise to it. And none was more impactful than the one that gave life to Sin Shenron, which also explains his cruel and pitiless nature. Outraged by Nuova's death, Goku sets off for the confrontation against Sin, even with his vision compromised. But this time, the battle is completely unequal. Sin Shenron is at a power level absurdly superior to previous enemies. Not even the 10x Kamehame is capable of defeating him. The dragon manages to strike back with similar energy. Goku tries to escape but is hit full force. He loses consciousness and is pinned by an iron bar, returning to his base form because he is completely exhausted. At this critical moment, Goku's allies arrive: Goten, Trunks, Gohan, Oob, and even Videl, Chi-Chi, and Hercule. They know that only Goku can defeat the enemy, so they gather not to fight, but to transfer their energies to him. Gohan, Trunks, and Goten begin the process, while Oob tries to protect the others. However, Sin completely ignores Oob and heads straight for the Saiyans, interrupting the transfer ritual. He advances against Gohan, and when the others try to intervene, the dragon launches a powerful energy blast that seems to eliminate everyone at once. Fortunately, Goku uses his instant transmission at the last instant and saves his friends. In a safe location, they try once more to transfer energy to the hero. To buy time, Oob sets off for the attack but is easily beaten. Still, he manages to delay Sin Shenron long enough for Goku to recover his Super Saiyan 4 form in his full power version. Now even blind, Goku demonstrates total mastery of the fight. His adapted senses allow him to dodge all of Sin Shenron's attacks. He counterattacks with a devastating blow that destroys a large area of the city, forcing the enemy to retreat. Following this, Goku hits a 10x Kamehameha directly on Sin Shenron, giving the impression that the battle had come to an end. But the victory is an illusion. One of the Dragon Balls moves toward the fallen dragon's body, followed by the others. To everyone's horror, Sin Shenron survives and absorbs the power of all 7 orbs, beginning an even more terrifying transformation. With all 7 Dragon Balls absorbed, Sin Shenron reaches his supreme form, Omega Shenron. His transformation is marked by an overwhelming demonstration of power, a colossal explosion that devastates the city and hurls all the warriors away. But Omega Shenron's rise goes beyond the increase in brute strength. Now he holds the abilities of all the other Shadow Dragons, becoming an unprecedented threat. While the dragon mocks Goku, jeering at the situation, the Saiyan suddenly recovers his sight, and without wasting time, counterattacks with a Kamehameha, followed by a Dragon Fist, a devastating combination that pulverizes Omega's body. However, the apparent victory does not last. The regeneration ability inherited from the 5-star dragon, Rage Shenron, allows Omega to completely rebuild his body. Hope dissipates again when he channels the power of Naturon Shenron, the 7-star dragon, generating a powerful explosion that hurls the Z-Fighters through the air. In a matter of seconds, Omega traverses the battlefield and attacks everyone without mercy. Faced with the desperate scenario, Goku considers sacrificing himself to end the threat. But his idea is interrupted by the arrival of Vegeta, who states that this sacrifice would be in vain. According to him, not even Goku's final attack would have enough strength to defeat Omega Shenron in that state. Vegeta then reveals his strategy. With the support of Bulma, who appears with a Blitzwave generator, he intends to reach the Super Saiyan 4 transformation. Exposed to the Ray energy, Vegeta transforms into a Great Ape. Uncontrolled at first, he attacks everything around him, but upon spotting Goku, he regains consciousness. Shortly after, he evolves into a Golden Great Ape and finally reaches the form of Super Saiyan 4. Even with their combined powers, Goku and Vegeta realize that Omega remains superior. Given this, Vegeta proposes fusion. The suggestion surprises Goku, but he understands the plan. By joining forces through fusion, the power gap can finally be overcome. While the two prepare to perform the fusion dance, the other Z-Fighters face Omega to buy time. Although they do not have the strength to beat him, they manage to distract him enough for the fusion to be successfully completed. The result is the arrival of Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta, a fusion with a power so immense that Omega Shenron cannot even keep up with his movements. The battle becomes one-sided. Gogeta completely dominates the enemy, delivering blows with ease and even mocking him during the confrontation. In desperation, Omega Shenron resorts to his last trump card, the Negative Karma Ball, a sphere of energy formed from the accumulated negativity of humanity, capable even of destroying the Earth. However, Gogeta simply deflects it without any effort. With no more alternatives, Omega Shenron remains motionless, waiting for the final blow. Gogeta decides to use his most powerful attack, the Big Bang Kamehameha. The explosion hits the dragon directly, not eliminating him, but causing an unexpected effect. The 7 Dragon Balls are expelled from his body, and he returns to his original form, Sin Shenron. Extremely wounded, the dragon can barely react. Gogeta prepares to fire another Big Bang Kamehameha and end everything. But the fusion time reaches its end. Because they are in the Super Saiyan 4 form, the fusion undoes itself rapidly. Taking advantage of the hero's moment of weakness, Sin Shenron tries to recover the orb, determined to absorb them again. Goku, however, prevents him from seizing the 4-star ball, the same one that carries the memory of his grandfather, Grandpa Gohan. To protect it at all costs, Goku takes an extreme action. He swallows the ball. Goku and Vegeta try to fuse once more, but Sin Shenron, aware of the danger, acts quickly to prevent this from happening. The fight for the fate of the Earth is far from over. Even without the 4-star ball, Omega Shenron continues to be stronger than Goku and Vegeta. Although the other Z fighters, like Gohan, Trunks, and Goten, could intervene, Gohan decides that no one should act. Something in Omega had changed. He realizes the enemy is weakened and believes the 2 Saiyans still have a real chance to win. Though reluctant, Trunks and Goten follow the order and only watch as their fathers are brutally dominated. Goku and Vegeta try to find an opening to perform the fusion once more, but none of their attacks can hold back the dragon for long enough. With no alternatives, they bet on a strategy. They use the after-image technique to create illusory duplicates and confuse Omega. While the villain attacks the copies, Goku and Vegeta discreetly distance themselves and start the fusion dance. However, upon completing the movement, nothing happens. The fusion fails. From a distance, Trunks quickly realizes the reason. Goku is completely spent. After so many battles, he is the more wounded and exhausted of the two, and Omega Shenron knows it, so much so that, with a cruel smile, the dragon allows them to try again, just to amuse himself with the hero's despair. However, the situation worsens even further. Goku reverts to his base form, making fusion completely impossible. At that instant, a surprising phenomenon occurs. The 4-star Dragon Ball, previously hidden inside Goku, glows and appears on his forehead, leaving everyone in a state of shock. Omega decides to take advantage of the distraction and moves in to attack, but he is intercepted by Nuva Shenron, who emerges from the orb and blocks the blow. At first, it seems that Nuva has turned against Goku and allied himself with the villain. Omega explains that by absorbing the orb, his negative energy corrupted Nuva and placed him under his control. Nuva then advances against Vegeta, who tries to resist but cannot keep up with his speed. Next, the 4-star dragon charges at Goku, until Vegeta notices something strange. Nuva's attacks are not fatal. It's all an act. In reality, Nuova was feigning loyalty to Omega to deceive him. Taking advantage of this moment, Goku and Nuova combine their attacks and surprise the enemy. Nuova reveals that when he was swallowed by Goku, his energy was purified, freeing him from corruption. Now he intends to use all his power to finish Omega once and for all. The 2 dragons become enveloped in a sphere of fire, and Nuova delivers a massive blow. The explosion that follows is enormous, but the plan fails. Omega had hidden himself inside Nuova's body to escape the attack, and worse, takes the opportunity to absorb the final missing orb, recovering his complete form. To make the situation even more dire, Vegeta loses his Super Saiyan 4 transformation. Now neither he nor Goku has the strength to transform again. Omega Shenron moves in for the final attack. Without fusion, without the SSJ-4 form, and without reinforcements of equal caliber, the Z fighters are out of options. Omega begins to accumulate enough negative energy to destroy the Earth. In a final act of courage, Goku pushes Vegeta away and tries to stop the blow alone. But his body no longer responds as it used to. He is hit full force. Even so, Goku manages to contain the explosion, saving the planet at the cost of his own energy. When the smoke clears, all that remains is a gigantic crater. Everyone believes Goku is dead. With the hero out of the fight, Omega begins to release his negative energy across the planet's surface, with the potential to spread throughout the entire universe. Earth is on the brink of destruction, and there is no time for mourning. Vegeta takes command. He orders Trunks, Goten, Gohan, and the others to board Bulma's ship and escape while they can. The mission now is to survive, train, and one day avenge Goku. Despite Vegeta's order, none of the Saiyans retreat. Faced with the greatest threat they have ever encountered, everyone decides to stay and fight to the end. Gohan, Goten, Trunks, and Vegeta himself throw themselves against Omega Shenron, even knowing their chances are practically zero. One by one, the warriors are struck down by Omega's overwhelming strength. Vegeta is the last to remain standing, insisting on one final attack. But without the power of a Super Saiyan, he is completely at a disadvantage. Defeated, Vegeta falls beside the massive crater opened by the previous explosion. It is then that he feels something and realizes that Goku is still alive. From the depths of the hole, Goku emerges, holding his last card up his sleeve, a spirit bomb. He begins to gather the life energy of the Earth, seeking enough power to defeat Omega. But it soon becomes clear that the planet's energy is not enough. With the help of King Kai and the other Kais of the 4 galaxies, Goku extends his plea for help to the entire universe. Distant planets, civilizations that were once saved by Goku, everyone answers the call. The energy of countless beings is channeled toward Earth, giving shape to the universal spirit bomb. Omega tries to stop the attack with all his might, but it is in vain. Goku finally launches the attack. The sphere of energy collides with Omega Shenron, and the dragon, saturated with malice, is completely disintegrated. The battle comes to an end. Victory, at last, belongs to the Z Fighters. Everyone approaches Goku, who collapses from exhaustion, but smiles in relief. The Dragon Balls, now free from corruption, return to their normal state. To everyone's surprise, Shenron appears spontaneously, without being summoned, and for the first time, without the sky turning dark. Shenron heals Goku and reveals the truth. The opening of Hell and the return of old villains were consequences of the excessive and reckless use of the Dragon Balls over the years. According to him, the orbs are artifacts too powerful to remain on a planet where they can be gathered with such ease. Therefore, the dragon announces his decision to depart. The Dragon Balls will no longer remain on Earth. Before Shenron leaves, Goku makes one last request, that all the people who died since the beginning of the invasion of the villains from Hell be brought back to life. He argues that the people of Earth were caught up in a war that wasn't theirs. Most didn't even know the Dragon Balls existed. They deserve a second chance. Shenron accepts the request and grants the wish, reviving everyone who had died, including Krillin. Then he warns that it is time to go. The Zeta fighters still try to understand what is happening, but Goku seems to already know. Vegeta understands before everyone else, but Goku asks him to remain silent and take on the responsibility of protecting the Earth in his absence. Without revealing his destination, Goku says his goodbyes in silence. Bulma, overcome with emotion, remembers the day she met him, the beginning of everything. Riding on Shenron's back, Goku flies over significant places from his life. The desert where he met Yamcha, the mountains where he trained with Tien and Chiatsu. He asks to make a few stops along the way, wishing to see loved ones one last time before departing for good. He visits Master Roshi's house, where he reunites with his old master and his inseparable friend Krillin. The trio relives old times amidst memories and laughter. Goku proposes one last friendly sparring match, just like in the days when it all began. During the fight, Master Roshi realizes the true intention of the visit. Goku is saying goodbye. After letting Krillin win on purpose as a gesture of tribute and affection, Goku praises him with a smile and disappears without a word. Confused, Krillin tries to understand what happened. Master Roshi, experienced and serene, looks to the sky and makes his silent farewell. He thanks Goku and the Dragon Balls for everything they represented. Goku's next stop is Hell, where Piccolo is facing a new disturbance caused by an out-of-control creature. Upon seeing Goku, the Namekian believes he has been sent back to that dark place. However, Goku simply approaches, extends his hand, and sincerely thanks him for everything Piccolo has done for him over the years. He laments not having had the chance to repay so much help, but assures him that he will never forget his old friend. Without saying anything more, Goku disappears silently, leaving Piccolo alone with his thought. Meanwhile, on the battlefield, the Z Fighters, now exhausted and emotionally shaken, decide it is time to go home. The hardest war of their lives has finally ended. Chi-Chi, confident that Goku will return as he always has, begins to prepare a great banquet, believing he will soon be back. As everyone disperses, Pan walks beside Trunks and, still confused, asks if the Dragon Balls have really disappeared. Trunks reflects for a moment and responds that perhaps all of this is a way for the gods to test humanity, a chance to prove they can protect the world without depending on miracles. Pan smiles, agreeing with the idea. Before leaving, she finds Goku's gi on the ground. Intrigued, she wonders how the clothes could be there, since her grandfather left wearing that exact outfit. At that moment, Vegeta approaches. Without many words, he advises Pan to keep those clothes with care. After saying goodbye, the Prince of Saiyans departs for home. And Pan, looking at the sky, says goodbye to her grandfather with a see you later. Goku, lying calmly on Shenron's head, crosses the clouds with serenity. The Dragon Balls float around him until little by little they are absorbed into his body. He closes his eyes and disappears. 100 years pass. In the present, the World Martial Arts Tournament is taking place once again. Pan, now an elderly woman, watches the competition from the stands. She observes with pride her great-great-grandson, Goku Jr., who faces none other than Vegeta Jr., a direct descendant of her grandfather's old rival. The tournament honors the great heroes of the past, with a focus on Son Goku and Herculon, names immortalized by their legendary deeds. The crowd roars as they see the two young fighters release extraordinary powers. Many have never witnessed anything like it. In the heat of battle, both achieve the Super Saiyan transformation, sparking shock and admiration in everyone present. From a distance, a watchful eye observes everything. Goku is there among the spectators, watching silently. Pan sees him and, overcome with emotion, runs toward him. But when she reaches the spot, he is no longer there. Thus ends the journey of the most powerful warrior the earth has ever known. Goku, the humble low-class Saiyan who challenged the limits, made friends wherever he went, and faced the greatest dangers in the universe. An eternal hero whose legend will never be forgotten. His story has come to an end. This is one of the endings that marked my life the most, especially my childhood. If this ending also marked your life, leave a like on the video. It took several days working on this video, but the result was worth it. It turned out incredible. If you like recaps, subscribe to the channel.